Have you ever noticed that every time something good happens in your life, your own sister gets strangely quiet or makes that poisonous comment disguised as concern? What if I revealed to you that this is not a coincidence? It's a dark secret she hides even from herself, and God is exposing it right now to set you free. Carl Jung spent decades studying the human psyche and discovered a terrifying truth. The people closest to us can be our greatest unconscious saboteurs. But there's something much deeper and more disturbing happening here. Your sister carries a shadow that she projects onto you daily, and the universe is screaming for you to see this now. In this video, I'm going to unmask the hidden psychological game that has been draining your energy, blocking your blessings, and keeping you trapped in destructive patterns. You're going to discover the 6 undeniable signs that God is tearing away the veil of family hypocrisy, and why this is happening to you right now. Chosen one. What I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see your family forever. When you were children, there was probably a moment when everything felt equal and fair between you and your sister. Maybe you shared toys, secrets, and dreams without hesitation. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. Carl Jung called this phenomenon the emergence of the shadow. That dark part of our psyche we refuse to acknowledge because it's too painful to accept. Your sister isn't aware of what's happening inside her. She genuinely believes her intentions are pure, that her criticisms come from love, that her subtle digs are just honesty. But deep within her unconscious mind, there's a war raging. Think about the last family gathering. When you shared good news about your promotion, your new relationship, or your personal achievement, watch her face carefully in your memory. Did her smile reach her eyes? Did she immediately follow your joy with a but statement? Something like, "That's great, but are you sure you can handle it?" Or, "I'm happy for you, but don't you think it's too soon?" These aren't innocent questions. They're weapons forged in the furnace of unconscious envy. Jung discovered that we project onto others what we cannot accept in ourselves. Your sister sees in you everything she wishes she could be, but feels incapable of becoming. When you succeed, it holds up a mirror to her own perceived failures. When you're happy, it highlights her own discontent. When you grow spiritually and emotionally, it exposes her stagnation. This mirror is so unbearable that her psyche creates an elaborate defense mechanism. She must diminish you to protect herself from the pain of self-reflection. God is showing you this now because you've reached a level of consciousness where you can handle this truth. The chosen ones always face their greatest tests within their own bloodline. This isn't about vilifying your sister or cutting her off completely. It's about understanding the psychological warfare that's been waged against your spirit, often since childhood. When you were both young, perhaps she was praised for being the responsible one while you were called the dreamer, or maybe she was labeled the pretty one while you were the smart one. These childhood labels create fractures in the psyche that never fully heal without conscious work. The shadow your sister carries isn't just her own, it's generational. Look back at your mother's relationship with her sisters, your grandmother's family dynamics. You'll likely find the same pattern repeating like a curse that nobody knows how to break. One woman undermining another, competition disguised as concern, love mixed with poison. This is the dirty secret God is exposing, that familial love has been contaminated by unconscious psychological patterns that get passed down like heirlooms. Your sister learned from watching the women in your family that this is how relationships work. She absorbed the unspoken rule that there can only be one winner, one favored daughter, one woman who gets to shine. In her mind, your light doesn't inspire her to find her own. It threatens to extinguish hers completely. So she does what was modeled for her. She tries to dim your light before it makes her darkness too obvious. The universe has been sending you signals for years. Those moments when you felt guilty for being happy because you knew it would create tension. Those times you downplayed your achievements to keep the peace. Those instances where you questioned your own perception because she convinced you that you were being too sensitive or misreading her intentions. God is now confirming what your soul already knew. You weren't crazy, you weren't overreacting, you weren't being ungrateful, you were sensing the shadow at work. This revelation isn't meant to fill you with bitterness. It's meant to set you free from the invisible chains of false guilt and misplaced loyalty. The chosen ones must learn to see clearly, even when that clarity hurts. Your sister's secret isn't that she hates you. It's that she hates what you represent to her wounded self, and until she's willing to look in that mirror herself, nothing you do will ever be enough to earn her genuine celebration of your life. Now that you understand the mirror your sister refuses to face, you need to recognize how this manifests in the energetic realm. Jung spoke about psychic energy and how it flows between people, especially those connected by blood and history. What he didn't explicitly call out, but what ancient wisdom has always known, is that some people become parasitic in their energy exchange. Your sister has likely become an energy vampire, and the family structure provides her with the perfect disguise and unlimited access to feed. Every phone call that leaves you exhausted, every visit that requires days of recovery, every text message that somehow turns your good mood sour. These aren't random occurrences, they're systematic energy drainage. She's learned, probably without conscious awareness, that she can regulate her own emotional state by disrupting yours. When she feels empty, she provokes you. When she feels insignificant, she criticizes you. When she feels powerless in her own life, she attempts to control yours. The family robe she wears gives her immunity that a stranger would never have. If a co-worker treated you this way, you'd establish boundaries immediately. If a friend spoke to you with such subtle contempt, you'd distance yourself without guilt. But because she shares your blood, because she's woven into your earliest memories, because society demands unconditional family loyalty, she has access to your energy field that she's learned to exploit. God is exposing this now because your spiritual evolution depends on understanding energy dynamics. The chosen ones are often targeted by those closest to them precisely because they carry a light that others want to possess or extinguish. Your sister isn't just jealous of your external successes. She's envious of your inner peace, your spiritual connection, your ability to transform pain into growth. These qualities generate a frequency that she's drawn to like a moth to flame, but instead of seeking her own light, she tries to steal yours. By the way, if you're curious to go even deeper and integrate your shadows and light, check out the SIM Method ebook. It's a concise guide that can help you unlock your inner power in just 5 minutes a day. The link is in the first pinned comment below. The energy drainage you've been experiencing connects directly to something far more ancient and insidious than your sister's individual psychology. Jung spent considerable time exploring what he called the collective unconscious, that deep reservoir of inherited memories, traumas, and patterns that flow through family lines like underground rivers. Your sister isn't just operating from her own wounds. She's a vessel carrying centuries of unresolved feminine trauma, and she's unconsciously pouring that poison into your relationship without even knowing the cup exists. Look deeper into your family history, and you'll find the same story told in different versions. A grandmother who competed with her own daughter. A great aunt who spread rumors about her sister's happiness. Cousins who smiled at weddings while secretly hoping for divorces. This pattern didn't start with your sister, and it won't end with her unless someone breaks the cycle. The dirty secret God is revealing isn't just about her individual betrayal. It's about the ancestral curse that's been using her as its latest host. In traditional cultures, they understood this concept clearly. They knew that unhealed trauma doesn't die with the person who experienced it. Instead, it gets encoded into the family system, passed down through behaviors, beliefs, and unconscious reactions. Your sister inherited a script she never asked for. Somewhere in your lineage, a woman was betrayed by her sister, or a mother pitted her daughters against each other for the attention of a man, or scarcity created such fierce competition that love became impossible between women who should have been allies. These wounds created survival mechanisms. If resources were limited, ensuring your own daughter's success might have meant undermining your niece. If male approval determined a woman's worth, then other women became threats rather than companions. If society only made space for one exceptional woman in a family, then sisters became rivals by necessity. Your sister's psyche still operates under these ancient rules, even though the external circumstances have completely changed. The universe is showing you this pattern now because you have the spiritual strength to see it without being destroyed by it. Most people live their entire lives acting out inherited scripts without ever questioning why they feel compelled to behave in ways that contradict their stated values. Your sister probably tells herself she loves you. She might even cry at the thought of losing you. But when opportunity arises, she can't help but undermine you because something deeper than her conscious mind is in control. This curse manifests in predictable ways. Notice how she becomes most hostile when you're about to level up in life. Right before a major breakthrough, she'll create drama. Just as you're healing from past trauma, she'll reopen old wounds. When you're finally finding peace, she'll manufacture chaos. This isn't coincidental timing. It's the curse recognizing that you're about to break free from its grip, and it uses her to pull you back into the familiar pattern of suffering. Jung understood that these patterns remain unconscious because making them conscious is terrifying. Your sister would have to confront not just her own jealousy and malice, but also the reality that she's been a puppet dancing on strings woven by generations of wounded women before her. She'd have to face that her mother might have planted these seeds, that her grandmother watered them, and that she's been faithfully tending a garden of toxicity while calling it family loyalty. God is exposing this to you specifically because you're meant to be the pattern breaker. The chosen ones don't get easy paths, they get necessary ones. Your assignment isn't to fix your sister or heal your entire family lineage single-handedly. Your assignment is to see the curse clearly, refuse to pass it forward, and protect your own energy from being drained by dynamics that predate your birth. When you stop participating in the pattern, you create a tear in the fabric of the curse. That tear might be small, but it's enough to let light in where there's been only darkness for generations. The revelation might make you angry. You might feel robbed of the sisterhood you deserved, grieving for the relationship that could have been if she wasn't carrying this burden. That grief is valid and necessary. But don't let it trap you in victimhood. Your sister is both perpetrator and victim in this dynamic. She hurts you while being hurt by forces she can't see. Understanding this doesn't mean you accept the abuse. It means you can extract yourself from the pattern without carrying hatred that would only continue the curse in a different form. Understanding the inherited curse naturally leads to recognizing its most deceptive manifestation, the way your sister's attacks come wrapped in concern. This is perhaps the most psychologically damaging aspect of the dynamic because it makes you question your own perception of reality. Jung called this gaslighting before the term became popular, recognizing how the psyche can be manipulated through contradictory messages that confuse the conscious mind while poisoning the unconscious. Your sister has perfected the art of sabotage that looks like sisterly love. She voices worry about your choices while actually planting seeds of doubt. She offers unsolicited advice that subtly undermines your confidence. She shares other people's failures as cautionary tales, right when you're about to take a leap of faith. This is sophisticated psychological warfare, made more effective because it exploits your natural desire for familial support and your instinct to trust those who claim to want what's best for you. Think about how often her protection comes at precisely the wrong moment. You're excited about a new venture, and she immediately lists all the ways it could fail. You're glowing in a new relationship, and she reminds you of your past heartbreaks. You're celebrating a personal victory, and she shifts focus to what you haven't achieved yet. The timing isn't accidental, it's strategic, even if unconsciously so. Her shadow knows exactly when to strike for maximum impact. This form of sabotage is particularly insidious because it leaves no evidence. If you confront her, she has plausible deniability. She was just being realistic. She was only trying to help you avoid disappointment. She's your sister, so of course she's allowed to be honest with you. The family system backs her up because everyone has internalized the same toxic pattern. They call it keeping you humble when it's actually keeping you small. They frame it as protecting you from failure when it's actually preventing you from success. God is pulling back the curtain on this manipulation because your next level of life requires you to trust your own inner guidance without seeking external validation, especially from those who are threatened by your growth. The chosen ones must learn to discern the difference between genuine concern and disguised sabotage. Genuine concern empowers you while acknowledging risks. Disguised sabotage paralyzes you while pretending to care. Genuine concern asks questions and listens to your answers. Disguised sabotage makes statements and dismisses your responses. The pattern of sabotage disguised as protection reveals something even more heartbreaking: the persistent absence of genuine celebration in your moments of triumph. Jung observed that the psyche keeps meticulous records of emotional debts and credits, and somewhere deep inside you, there's a ledger filled with entries marking every time your sister should have celebrated you but didn't. This absence isn't neutral. It's an active form of rejection that God is now illuminating so you can stop waiting for applause that will never arrive. Remember your graduation, your wedding, your promotion, or any milestone that mattered to you. Replay those moments honestly and notice her presence in them. Was she fully there, radiating genuine happiness for you? Or was there a hollowness in her congratulations, a distance in her embrace, a quickness to change the subject away from your achievement? The chosen ones often spend years making excuses for this absence, telling themselves that everyone expresses love differently or that she's just not emotionally demonstrative. But the truth your soul knows is simpler and more painful. She cannot celebrate what threatens her fragile sense of self. This creates a unique form of suffering because humans are wired for reciprocal joy within their tribes. When you succeed, your nervous system expects your closest people to mirror that success back to you, amplifying the positive emotion and reinforcing the behavior that led to achievement. Your sister's inability to provide this creates a constant low-grade trauma. You accomplish something wonderful, and instead of the expected surge of shared joy, you encounter a void. Over time, this void teaches you to diminish your own celebrations, to feel guilty about your victories, to hide your light so you don't have to face her darkness. The dirty secret being exposed here is that she's been trained by her own shadow to view your success as her failure. In a healthy psyche, one person's rise inspires others to find their own path upward. In a wounded psyche controlled by the shadow, one person's rise is experienced as a personal attack. Your happiness becomes evidence of her unhappiness. Your growth becomes proof of her stagnation. Your peace becomes a mirror reflecting her inner chaos. She can't celebrate you because doing so would require her to confront everything she hasn't become. God is showing you this pattern now because you've been unconsciously shrinking yourself to manage her discomfort. You've learned to downplay achievements, delay sharing good news, or frame your success in ways that won't trigger her. This is a form of self-betrayal that the universe can no longer allow if you're to fulfill your purpose. The chosen ones cannot complete their missions while walking on eggshells around those who should be their biggest supporters. Notice how she celebrates others, but not you. She can express genuine happiness for a co-worker's promotion, a friend's engagement, even a stranger's success story she sees online. But when it's you, the joy is performative at best and completely absent at worst. This selectivity reveals the truth. Her inability to celebrate isn't a general emotional limitation. It's specific to you because you represent something her shadow cannot tolerate. You might share the same DNA, the same childhood home, the same foundational experiences, yet you've chosen growth while she's chosen stagnation. That choice, more than any external achievement, is what she cannot forgive. The absence of celebration also manifests in how she rewrites your history. Your accomplishments get minimized in family stories. Your struggles get exaggerated or mocked. Your transformation gets attributed to luck rather than effort. She curates a version of reality where you're perpetually less capable, less deserving, less significant than you actually are. This narrative serves her shadow by keeping you beneath her in the imaginary hierarchy she's constructed to protect her ego. Breaking free from the need for her celebration is a spiritual initiation. It requires you to become your own source of validation, to find joy in your growth regardless of external recognition, to celebrate yourself with the enthusiasm she'll never provide. This isn't arrogance, it's survival. The chosen ones must learn to stand in their truth even when surrounded by those who deny it. Your sister's refusal to celebrate you says everything about her internal landscape and nothing about your worth. God is revealing this now because your next chapter requires unshakable self-belief. You cannot step into your destiny while still seeking crumbs of approval from someone whose shadow demands your failure. The celebration you've been waiting for won't come from her. It must come from within you, from the universe that orchestrated your gifts, from the divine source that chose you for this path despite the obstacles placed by those who should have been clearing the way. Understanding why the celebration never comes naturally leads to the most important revelation of all. The profound liberation that arrives when you finally see the complete truth without flinching. Jung taught that consciousness itself is curative, that simply bringing shadow material into the light begins the healing process. God has been orchestrating this entire exposure not to embitter you against your sister, but to free you from the invisible chains of false hope, misplaced guilt, and the exhausting performance of pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. This liberation doesn't mean you suddenly hate your sister or cut her out of your life with dramatic pronouncements. It means you stop expecting water from a stone. You stop offering your vulnerable self to someone who's proven they'll weaponize that vulnerability. You stop shrinking to make her comfortable. You stop explaining yourself to someone who's already decided you're wrong. You stop waiting for her to change, to wake up, to suddenly become the sister you deserved. Liberation is accepting what is, rather than torturing yourself with what should be. The chosen ones often resist this liberation because it feels like giving up on family, like admitting defeat, like becoming the cold-hearted person your sister probably already accuses you of being when you set any boundary at all. But there's profound spiritual maturity in acknowledging that you cannot save someone from their own shadow. You cannot love someone into consciousness. You cannot sacrifice yourself on the altar of family harmony and call it virtue. Your sister's journey is her own, and your continued participation in the toxic dynamic doesn't help her. It enables her. God is showing you that liberation looks like internal freedom rather than external separation. You might still attend family gatherings, exchange polite conversation, maintain surface-level connection, but internally you've detached from the need for her approval, the hope for her transformation, the fantasy of the sisterhood that never was. You engage from a place of clarity rather than codependency. You protect your energy rather than offering it up for ritual sacrifice. You speak your truth even when she distorts it. You celebrate yourself even when she refuses to join. This shift in consciousness creates ripples that terrify the family system. When you stop playing your assigned role in the dysfunctional dance, everyone becomes uncomfortable. Your sister will likely escalate her behavior, trying to pull you back into the familiar pattern. Other family members might pressure you to keep the peace, which really means keep quiet about the abuse. They'll accuse you of changing, of thinking you're better than everyone, of abandoning family values. They're right that you've changed, you've woken up, and that wakefulness threatens the collective sleep they're all invested in maintaining. The liberation God is offering you comes with a price. You'll grieve the sister you never had. You'll mourn the childhood you deserved but didn't receive. You'll feel the weight of being misunderstood by people who refuse to see clearly. But on the other side of that grief is a life where your energy belongs to you, where your joy isn't conditional on anyone's approval, where your growth isn't stunted by someone else's stagnation. The chosen ones must be willing to walk alone before they find their true tribe. Jung understood that individuation, becoming fully yourself, often requires separating from the collective, even when that collective is your family of origin. Your sister represents the voice of the collective unconscious, trying to keep you small, predictable, controllable. Every time you choose growth over comfort, truth over harmony, liberation over loyalty to dysfunction, you're completing your soul's assignment. God didn't choose you to maintain broken systems. You were chosen to break free and light the way for others trapped in similar darkness. The final secret being exposed is this: your sister's behavior toward you has never been about you. It's always been about her relationship with herself, her unhealed wounds, her refusal to face her shadow, her choice to remain unconscious. You could be perfect, and she'd still find fault. You could be struggling, and she'd still find ways to kick you while you're down. Nothing you do or don't do will change her, because change must come from within her, and she's built an entire identity around avoiding that internal reckoning. Your liberation is complete when you can witness her dysfunction with compassion, but without engagement, when you can acknowledge her pain without absorbing it, when you can love her from a distance that protects your peace. God has exposed her dirty secret not to destroy your relationship, but to reconstruct it on terms that honor your well-being. The chosen ones don't get the easy gift of healthy family dynamics. They get the harder gift of wisdom earned through pain and the strength to create boundaries where others built bridges to nowhere. Stand in this truth now. Let it wash over you like baptismal water, cleansing away years of confusion and self-doubt. Your sister's secret is out. God has done the revealing. Now you must do the liberating. Choose yourself. Choose growth. Choose the path forward even when it means leaving behind those who refuse to walk it with you. Your destiny awaits, and it's far too important to delay any longer for someone who was never going to celebrate your arrival anyway.